Welcome to the ripple effect of love for dads and families. I'm very excited to help you continue to reduce the resistance because it does show up sometimes again and again. And we are responsible for helping ourselves calm our nervous system down so that we can take better care of ourselves, show ourselves more help, more self love, so that we can follow our inner wisdom when we are dealing with our spouse, with our children, or our kiddos, or our teens. It's not always easy to just be centered and grounded no matter what happens. We've all been there. We've all lost patience. We've all felt overwhelmed with our kids, whether it be homework, getting ready for bed, getting them out the door in the morning, getting ready for a special event. There's always someone who gets dirty just before we're ready to walk out, right? Many, many, many. So I'm Christine Bernat, a stress management coach, and I am really interested in helping dads and their families find that calmness and inner peace that will help them be the best version of themselves, help them be calm and be themselves instead of being the fear of X, Y, or Z. And sometimes these fears come from our parents, the way they taught us, from our community, from so many different things. So let's just get started and reducing the resistance again. So we've been talking about our triggers, and resistance can sneak back in even after we've made some progress. Let's say we're working on the bedtime routine. So we're using the snap, tap. Oh, let me bring this down a bit. Tap and zap. And we've released it. The routine went super well. And it goes well for a couple of days. And then all of a sudden, chaos is back, maybe worse than before or just as bad. And we're like, no, what's going on? So, how do you deal with that? And how can Snap Tap Zap help you break through those recurring blocks so that you can keep moving forward toward your goals as a dad and a leader, as a mom and a leader? Some families are led by dads, and some by moms, and some by both parents. And we all need to self regulate because otherwise we are just losing it. And that's not what we want. Or we're able to stay very calm with our kids, but inside there's this hurricane or tornado happening. Our emotions are all over the place. And then all of a sudden somebody comes up to us and says, and this did happen to me. So it's probably why that word sneaked in there. It says, "Oh, how are you today?" And there goes the tears or the overwhelm, or you're holding them back because there's just been too many of these situations that you have allowed to pile up, if you will. And so what do is you self-regulate again. Sometimes we need to get support to see from a coach, from a therapist, from a doctor, whatever it is. Listen to your inner wisdom. It will guide you to what you need the most. Okay? So, thinking of your triggers, on Monday, we looked at our triggers. What trigger are you working on? Are you making progress? What is it that is challenging for you. So, taking a nice deep breath, I know that for myself, I have fears that show up, fears that aren't necessarily grounded on anything scientific or, but the brain brings me there. So, how do I deal with these fears? Sometimes I forget to self regulate. Sometimes I need to reach out for support, like I'm doing right now for an issue in my life. And it's okay. Reaching out means that we are amazing leaders for our family because we're saying, hey, I need support to take my next step forward and be the best leader that I can be. I know society might be telling you something else, something completely different. You have a choice to listen to what is in your culture, in your society, or you can say, hey, just a minute here. I have the power of choice, and I want to choose to be calmer and more that there's more harmony in my family, so that there's beautiful moments that we can create together with more love. Who wants to leave a legacy of love to their children, right? We all do. However, because we didn't necessarily learn how to do that, this is why this is so important. So think of your trigger. What is this trigger that's um, going well? Or if the trigger you took on Monday and Tuesday is the same one and you're still working on it, perfect. Let's do it together. And if you attained a trigger, maybe you're on your second one. Sometimes we have small triggers and it doesn't take much to release everything, all the stress and everything behind it. Perfect. However, if you have a bigger trigger, keep that one. And if you've gotten these little ones and you've worked them through and things went really well, pick a new one. And of course, let's snap, breathe in, tap, relax the shoulders, and exhale. Giving permission to the underlying fear to be zapped out of you, right? So breathing in again as you scan your body. Relax those shoulders. If you need to wiggle, go for it. Wiggling is always quite powerful. For some people, that's what they need to do. Others don't. Respect your body. Listen to your body. See what's best for you. And exhale. As I've mentioned before, I highly recommend that you exhale into a spiraling train or an incinerator. I had a client who wanted to just imagine that she was sitting beside the volcano and blowing it into the volcano erupting so that she could imagine it being burned instantly. So be creative, use your imagination, and do what's best for you. Notice that I'm still tapping while I'm talking. I'm still sending a message to my amygdala that I am ready to release and I am willing to release. And this is what I need to do right now. So we have a dad joining us. I think he's just breathing in right now to get grounded. I can see him do snap, tap, zap. Let's bring him on and have him share his successes and his challenges with this week's triggers, because I know there's been some new ones. And yes, moving the neck is another great one. I was talking about the shoulders, but the neck. Sometimes we can just get up and do some push ups and sit ups if we want, or jumping jacks. When you do this with the kids, yep, go ahead.
I'm going to jump in and say, remember, Snap Tap Zap is the ABCs. I know we want to run. I
Yeah,
was just I've been catching myself.
excellent.
I've practiced it more and more enough. And so again, I mentioned to you guys, I'm logical. So my brain goes, hey, you got this. And so then different things, and I start kind of taking, if you will, the next step. But
Hmm.
you got to be mindful and remind yourself and be and give yourself just grace and love. And so I wanted to take a step and to say
Yes,
everything will come
yes,
accordingly.
of course.
There's been many books been written, and folks that are spiritual great, or religious great, but I'm in regard to spiritual, as we all have different beliefs, I want to just make sure that we include everybody. And so
Yes.
I say to you is that the closer you are to your heart, the closer you will understand who you are. But we cannot begin to listen to our heart when we've got, and yes, I know we have responsibilities and we have tasks and we have duties and we have kids and we have projects and we have education. They're all going to be there. It's
Mhm.
going to be okay. And you are more important than all of that, because you are not defined by your successes or your failures or
Yeah.
your do's or your don'ts or anything that you've experienced that has been a part
Mhm.
that contributes in, and we can then say, I accept it, I like
Mhm.
it,
Yeah.
I discard it, I don't like it, it no longer serves me. And I no longer want to have that in my area, in my space,
Yeah.
in my thoughts.
Yeah.
And so,
And I no longer want to have this in my beliefs.
and in my beliefs, yeah. And I took a pause there as our wonderful friend that helps us all, because I wanted to say it all starts with thoughts, right? We've heard the say it all starts, and I don't like, this is what I was saying, I don't like doing things off of memory. But it
Mhm.
says, and it's a big phrase that expresses the idea that thoughts are the foundations of our lives, and your thoughts become your words become your behavior becomes your habits, and your habits become values, your values become your destiny. Or really simple, you have reality and you have your personality. That is your personal reality. What
Yes.
goes up here is going to connect and then flow, just as, and this is what I was thinking this morning. Thank you, Christine. Thank you. If you've learned anything new besides your parents, congratulations.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you learned anything in absolutely every day of life that you've experienced up until now, put it in the comments and say, hey, I mastered this, because I wanted to mention is
Yes.
that when we start really taking inventory, and I had somebody
Yeah.
say this, what do you do when you really are having a heart? I said, breathe.
And snap, tap, zap with your breath. It makes it so much more powerful because you're calming your survival mode, you're calming your fear mode, you're calming down your stress, you're calming down your whole nervous system. And when our nervous system can calm down, we can see clearer. what is next. We can pause, we can reevaluate, give ourselves that permission. And that is self love, to be able
That's
to
it.
pause and reevaluate. It's like, whoa, what am I doing? This is not working. It's not that I'm a good or bad person or I'm a failure or a success. It's just not working. Check, it's not working. Okay. So what do I do? Do I read 1,000 books or do I tune in, breathe, relax? If your intuition guides you to a book, go for it. Excellent. Self regulate first. Are you doing it out of fear or from the love that is in your heart? And
And
sometimes,
remember, we talked about the body reaction. In case you guys are
yes,
wondering, I want to just jump in
yes,
real quick. Is as you're breathing, and practice the breathing first, and it's okay. And if you're just stuck at the breathing, that's okay. We
yes.
don't want you to change. We don't want you to write down. We don't want you to act.
Mm-hmm.
These are the ABCs, and I wanted to jump right back in because I'm gonna let her finish. Is that I don't want you to get frustrated because I don't want you to face frustration because you're going, I'm barely in step one. That's okay. Be mindful of that. And so I'm gonna turn it back to Christine, but just be mindful and just pause and just breathe. You'll get
And
to the next steps.
yes, and sometimes we'll go back a couple of steps because we missed a few of our foundational steps. And that's why we go back. We go, we look at what is it that I need? Do I need more support? Can I do this on my own? Those are two things. And when you've tried on your own and you're not succeeding, reach out, join us, come and see us on the live, right? And just because. So I haven't told you this, but I've had sacroiliac issues on my right side. So, what is that all about? I know from being an EFT master practitioner, it has to do with relationship with men, it has to do with all that energy, but why is it so stuck? Well, today my osteopath said, because I do reach out and I have somebody to reach out on Monday that's going to continue to work with me. And just, Christine, you have all these fears from your adrenal glands, which is causing this, which is causing the leg and the foot and the ankle. So she said, release your fears. So that was my message. So I'm glad I'm here releasing more fears with you guys. So why do I do Snap Tap Zap? Because I am the best patient that needs it the most. And yes, it's funny because sometimes people say, "Oh, we have a French expression, le cordonnier mal chaussé, the shoemaker that is not well, doesn't have good shoes." Um, I don't know what the English version is right now. It's not coming to me. It's like the construction guy who has a house falling apart, right? Or it's like the plumber whose plumbing is all falling apart. So that's not what you want. But what you want is to just, oh, wait a minute, universe, events happened so that I can refocus. What are my priorities? Where am I going? How am I going to move this forward? Go ahead.
There's an old saying that was shared to me by another associate of mine. She said, because there was something going on with my website. And
Mhm.
I said, oh, those updates. And she says to me, and you brought this together, and I want to piece this together. She says, oh, well, you always know what they say about the cobblers and the cobbler's children and the cobbler's shoes, which is an old saying. The cobbler's children have no shoes. It's
Mhm.
an old Spanish proverb that means that someone who is skilled at something often neglects their own needs while helping others. So
Yes.
I wanted to pause there because of what Christine said in French, what you said, but it's also something else. This is gonna hopefully, and I want comments and suggestions and everything else and what you think. But this is the thing: if it doesn't align and sit right with your heart, it
Mm,
doesn't have to be you.
no.
We can use these old sayings, which is what they were used to. Pardon my mess. Okay, that's granted, as long as you feel good about gracefully saying, pardon my own skill set not being. However, allow me to say this. As much as I love my this cobbler, and I put that in and I say that.
Yeah.
But this cobbler learned, not the website, but this cobbler learned that my skill sets in the speaking and teaching and training and otherwise wasn't being directed to me, towards those that I love the most. And those that I love the most, I used to teach them, and I still do. Your success is
Yes.
what matters. And you getting results at the end of the week, I would tell them, you may hate the way that I do things and keep you instilled and keep you focused and keep you, but I know what works because that's what I was taught. That's how I was trained, and that's how I've accomplished. And again, set record after record and so on and so forth since
Mm.
2003. But, let me go and say this. I was wrong.
I
I've
know.
been wrong at this.
Oh,
And it allows me not only to smile, and people say, wait, you're smiling because you've been doing wrong, same as Christine was laughing, because it allows us to finally let our guards down and say, hey, and
yeah.
maybe not wrong. Maybe there's just a better way. If you can't grasp yourself around saying, oh, what I was doing, it wasn't wrong. Again, listen, we get it. But this is not
Yeah.
a happy
Closing up.
person. A happy
Closing up.
person.
Yeah. And
Yes.
unhappy. Yeah.
And
That's
it's not you feeling happy. And it's not, if you start defending your thoughts, your actions, your words,
yeah.
again, woo, but we're not going to jump. We're not going to jump. We're not going to jump. We're going to stay on this.
I, I, we'll talk about this again because this is a big, big thing, and our minds want to prove us right.
Yes. And that's where I was going to. And that's where I wanted to connect you guys with you guys, because
So the
no
mind,
matter how right your mind is, and that's why I said I've allowed myself, and please hug yourself and think and say, you're worth, not only you're worthy of the
yeah,
successes, but
yeah,
you're worthy when you fail at things, or when there's things or shortcomings, or when there are things that you find out. And that's why I say going back to the basics, the ABCs, because
yeah,
we may get on a track and go, hey, I got a good 2 3 days, and then something happens. Oh, where's it that? Oh, well, might as well just go back to no, 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 no. See, so that knee-jerk reaction, and that's where that grace comes in, and that's where that cobbler, and so that's where I say, and I challenge everyone. And the third one, if you haven't heard any of the French sayings or the old Spanish saying, if you've ever heard of any saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
yeah.
I want to say, in the most purest, loving heart that I can express to you and every old dog out there, that you can learn anything and everything that you set your mind to. And that's the key.
And I'm just going to add to that. I was teaching an in-person group last winter, and this person in the group, 86, and she said, "I don't want to take sleeping medication, Christine." I said, "Well, let's just work together as a group." And after a little while, she did not need the sleeping medication. She was so excited. One day she came back and she says, "You know what? Did not notice that when we drive out of this was in a golf club up on a hill, really beautiful view. And she says, when we drive out, there's all these beautiful trees and we never paid attention to what was happening around because the mind is so busy. So sometimes we can't notice our triggers either because unconsciously that mind is going
And it may not be a
going
trigger, and
wrong.
in your mind,
Yeah,
it may, and again, it is not a trigger. It is not a shortcoming, because in your mind, and we've talked about this several episodes, is your ladder. Your mind is going, I'm climbing the ladder. Right now, I'm my goals, my education, my job, my career, whatever it is. Don't get me wrong. Once again, they don't have to be bad triggers. They don't have to be anything bad. And again, that's what we're saying. We're not telling you you're bad, and we're not telling you you're doing wrong. You can get yourself permission to do whatever makes you happy,
Yes.
whatever you want to challenge yourself,
Yes.
whatever you want to do that makes you happy, in changing priorities and say, because I learned after 23 years of marriage with my wife, and I always am evolving daily. And I was just reminding myself, just as Anthony Robbins, Mr. Tony Robbins, I'll meet one day very soon here. He says, relive that love,
Yes.
relive that boyfriend and girlfriend, relive that spark. If you live that spark in that boyfriend and girlfriend relationship every day,
Yes.
it'll be, it'll continue to, and it'll be the support after
And
20. Oh,
yep, very good.
uh,
And if every time you go to give your spouse a hug, you think of all the nice things you've done
hmm.
together and you bring that beautiful energy into the hug.
Now,
Or
nobody, man, nobody said go start blaming, start naming.
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no, no,
remember? No, 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 no. But we have
no.
to, because that may
Yeah,
be triggers for some people. And I'm telling you right now, that used to be, because when arguments would come up, hey, but I do this. Hey, but I do that. So again, and yes, allow me to, real person, real thing, and we're running down on time. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. I want to make sure that we connected, and just to say, whatever it is that makes you happy, it's those thoughts. Continue to work on that. And just because we say, wait, I'm shifting my priorities, and now I am before my partner, that's okay, even though it may not seem logical, because now you can then approach your partner. And that's why I said, I got to rekindle my wife, and I got to rekindle that emotion and that relationship every day.
and that starts, and you're able to do that now because you're rekindling your self love. And that's where the ripple of the effect of the what, how do I say this? Let me find my words here. That's where the ripple effect of love is. There we go. What a beautiful way to finish. And just keep self-regulating yourself over and over and over. And if you can't talk about those tough topics, maybe we can bring that tomorrow. It's already 28 after. So,
Yeah. Email them to Christine, comment to Christine, DM us, DM them to Christine, wherever you find it, wherever you're hearing this. We've again, we're equipping some folks, we're training up some people. So just know, come, you can join us already. We'll have already some people you can sit down, men that you can talk to. So we have a couple of those tools. And if you want to just join us and just to say, hey,
yes,
um, I'm just here to build. So we don't know what we're going to build. That's okay. But hey, I'm here's my
I
hand.
have an
I'm here
idea.
to build. Yeah. Email Christine. Yeah, email Christine. Email. We
Yeah.
got these tools, but I don't want to put any thought into it. You
Yep.
want action? You want to do? You want to change? Email us, text us, email us, chat us, DM us, LinkedIn, whatever it is. Just definitely will support you. Love yourself. Give
Take
yourself more patience. Take
great
good care of yourself.
care of yourself. Here's my email and my website that you can take a peek at and write to me, but DM me on the social media that you just saw this live, and I will answer within 24 hours. And if it's a topic that suits the topic of the day, I can bring it up. And if you don't want me to bring up the topic, just name it. I don't want you to bring this up. I just want to chat privately. And that's okay too. Take great care of yourself and